The magic number is 20. There are 20 days left, less than 3 weeks, until the American people will turn out by the scores of tens of millions and decide who sits in the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk as the most powerful person in the world.
This is The Warning.
10 years ago, in 2015, Donald Trump entered presidential politics, descending his golden escalator in Trump Tower, disparaging, demeaning, and dehumanizing Mexicans as rapists and murderers. Since then, he has completely taken over the Republican Party, lock, stock, and barrel, and he has built a cult of personality. What is a cult of personality? What does that mean? A cult of personality always is built around an individual. And what happens is human beings, for whatever reason, give of themselves, their agency, their lives, their conscience to another person. They outsource everything to a cult leader. Here's a famous cult leader, the Reverend Jim Jones. He convinced his flock to follow him to the jungle of Guyana to build the people's paradise. We see cults of personalities emerge around political figures in other countries. There was a cult of personality around Stalin, cult of personality around Lenin, a cult of personality around Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un, and now Kim Jong-un. There was a cult of personality around Adolf Hitler, and there is a cult of personality around Donald Trump. What that means is that no matter what he does, he will be venerated by the members of his cult who have surrendered to him their agency, their discernment, their capacity to distinguish for themselves right and wrong, and to make choices for themselves. They have been brainwashed and are in need of deprogramming. The leader of the cult has a tremendous hold on the members of the cult. This is a feature of any cult. Now, the political question in the United States is whether the American people will allow a cult of personality to hijack from them their country, their republic, their way of life. There should be no higher loyalty, no higher duty for an American citizen than the nation. This is important because it speaks to a conflict of enormous dimensions that has to be sorted out through this election. The cult of personality places a higher premium on allegiance to their leader than the country's leader. The cult of personality worships the individual, which is incompatible with American society, because in American society, until very recently, we all held that there was no person above the law, no person born above another, that this was a place where all were created equal, with inalienable rights, amongst them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When our Constitution was written, it organized government around a triad of co-equal branches and guaranteed certain rights to the citizen. The right of conscience, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, all things that Donald Trump and his movement have attacked. The core principles of the country are incompatible with the principles of the cult of personality, because the principles of the republic under the American Constitution mean that no person is above the country, above the Constitution. There is no claim by an individual that is superior to the law produced in a society that chooses its leaders in a democratic process. We don't have a king. We don't have an emperor. We don't have a dictator in America. We don't have cults of personalities because cults of personalities are autocratic in nature, dictatorial in nature, fascistic in nature when they become political. And so how do you explain this? Donald Trump playing his playlist in front of a crowd refusing to take questions some 3 weeks before presidential elections. How off the wall is this? Well, maybe you're not a cult member, because nothing is off the wall inside the cult when whatever the leader does is the right thing to do in the moment he does it, no matter how incongruent it is with what else is going on. This is increasingly a feature that is observed in Donald Trump, which is that he seems to lack context, knowing where he is and who he's talking to in any specific moment, which creates these situations where he appears to be nonsensical.
What's your plan to help bring common sense back and help small businesses that got destroyed by Democrats after COVID and the Biden administration?
So, great. Because small businesses are actually bigger than big businesses when you add them all up, and it's very important. And sounds like yours. I would love your food. I can tell by looking at that guy. I think I'd like to go over there. If I'm over there, I'm going to stop it. The fact is that, they want to get away from gas. And I have friends, they're into the cooking world. I'm not. I just like to eat. But they're into the cooking. And I don't know how you feel. It sounds like they feel that gas is much better than the electric for cooking, right? And they have this thing about, they want to put gas out of business, right? No gas. The amazing thing? We don't have electric in this country, but we have all the gas you can use. We have oil and gas. That's what we have. And even the cars, if you look, they want to go with all electric cars. California is having blackouts every week, brownouts, blackouts, and then they come up with rules and regulation to go to all electric, but they can't even supply what they have. It's so nuts.
Again, a cult of personality that blinds you to everything that you once held as true, to every value you once held as dear. Trump's cult of personality is so powerful, it has the ability to erase the bonds of connection to reality, to family, and to your country, to basic common human decency, kindness, all of it in the name of Trump, who is the head, again, of a cult of personality that has taken over a political party and that is supported not by millions at the top, but by thousands who are part of an organized conspiracy to take power so they can take as much as they want from all of you, as much money, as much public money, to get as much privilege and entitlement as they can accrue, so they can live apart, so they can live as a type of royalty. It's perverse. It's wrong, but it's not hidden. It's right out in front of everybody's faces. But again, if you're in a cult, you can't see. So one of the issues is, in this moment, Trump's ability to turn red into blue, down into up. But it's an illusory power. When I point out accurately and precisely that Trump is a fascist, it's not hate speech, and it's certainly not hate speech that's triggering an assassin. When I say that Donald Trump is the leader of a cult of personality, it's not hyperbolic, it's precise, because there is no other word to describe this. If you are enthralled to this insanity standing there in the moment, part of the contagion of the crowd, you are in a cult. Will they make us conform inside their cult? Because the cult leader's been quite clear, there's punishment for everybody who does it. No thanks, but we should be clear about what's coming and what that cult believes. And the media should be more clear about calling it precisely what it is, which is a cult. How do I know? Because I watch this on TV, and there's no other word for it. None whatsoever. This is The Warning.
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning, and I invite you to subscribe on our Substack, on our YouTube channel. Follow us. Welcome to the community.